Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on a big one, the 4th of July, Independence Day.
That's right.
And we want to go beyond just the usual surface stuff. We're digging into what it really represents.
Mm-hmm. History, traditions, even some of the, let's say, more complex angles.
Yeah, exactly. We've pulled together quite a bit, historical facts, cultural context, how people celebrate today, all that sort of thing.
The goal really is to give you a full picture, maybe offer some surprising bits, and, well, just a deeper appreciation overall.
Right. So let's start at the heart of it. What's the core meaning? What's it all about?
Well, fundamentally, it's about freedom. Self-determination. Those are the big themes woven into, well, America's idea of itself.
And patriotism, national pride, that feeling of unity you sometimes get.
Definitely. That's a huge part of it, that sense of shared identity, even if it's just for the day.
But it's not just celebration, is it? You mentioned reflection.
Yeah, I think for many, it's also a time to look back, to consider the nation's journey, the good parts, the achievements, but also the struggles, the things still being worked on. It's not always simple flag waving.
Okay, let's ground this in the history.
Mm-hmm.
The big date, July 4th, 1776. What actually happened then?
So that's the day the Continental Congress officially adopted the Declaration of Independence.
Penned mainly by Jefferson.
Primarily, yes. And it was this radical statement saying the 13 colonies were separating from Great Britain.
What made it so radical, though?
Well, it wasn't just saying they were leaving. It justified it based on inherent rights, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
That idea that government power comes from the people to protect these rights, that was revolutionary.
A real philosophical shift.
Absolutely. It echoed way beyond America, inspiring other movements later on.
But declaring it was one thing, making it stick was another.
Right. Oh, absolutely. The American Revolutionary War was already underway, started in 75,
Right.
and it continued until 1783. That was the actual fight to secure the independence they declared on paper.
So the declaration was why, the war was the how.
You could put it that way, yeah.
Oh.
A statement of intent followed by a long, hard struggle.
When did people actually start celebrating July 4th?
Pretty quickly, actually.
Oh.
Philadelphia held the first big organized celebration in 1777, just 1 year later.
And they had fireworks even then.
They did. Fireworks, bonfires, parades, a lot of things we still associate with the 4th. It shows how significant people felt it was right from the beginning.
But it took a while to become an official federal holiday.
It did, yeah. Not until 1870. So nearly 100 years passed between the declaration and it becoming an official nationwide holiday recognized by the government.
Interesting lag time.
It is. Suggests celebrations grew organically, locally, before getting that federal stamp.
Okay, let's jump to now. The traditions we all know. Fireworks, they're maybe the most iconic symbol. Why fireworks?
They're definitely iconic, and the connection goes way back. John Adams, writing in 1776, actually predicted future celebrations would have pomp and parade, bonfires, and illumination.
Illumination, so that became fireworks?
Essentially, yes. And then, of course, you have the line, "Rockets' red glare," in the national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. That really cemented the link in people's minds.
Right. And parades. They're everywhere, too.
Parades are a very public way to show community spirit, local pride, national pride. You get the floats, the military units, the marching bands. It's all very visible, very communal.
A collective display.
Exactly.
And for lots of people, it's mainly about family time, isn't it?
Oh, hugely. Family gatherings are central, picnics, backyard barbecues, tossing a frisbee, just relaxing together. It's a big part of the tradition for many.
That whole relaxed summer vibe.
That's it.
And the colors, red, white, and blue, it's unavoidable.
Completely. Flags everywhere, people wearing the colors, decorations on houses, storefronts, even food sometimes. It's a visual explosion of patriotism.
Yeah, you really can't miss it.
No way.
There's another tradition, maybe less common but quite meaningful, naturalization ceremonies.
Yes, welcoming new citizens. Holding those ceremonies on Independence Day is quite common.
That feels fitting.
It really does. It links the nation's founding principles with the ongoing process of people choosing to become part of it. A powerful connection.
Let's talk sound. What's the soundtrack to the 4th?
It's pretty varied, actually. You definitely hear marching band music, especially with parades.
Sousa marches and things.
Absolutely. Stars and Stripes Forever is almost guaranteed. But also classic rock, country music playlists are common at BBQs. And then specific patriotic songs, of course.
Which ones really stand out?
Well, the Star-Spangled Banner, obviously. America the Beautiful. God Bless America. Those evoke really strong feelings for a lot of people.
Any more modern ones that have latched on?
Yeah, interestingly, Springsteen's Born in the USA is often played, though its meaning is complex. Toby Keith's Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue became popular after 9/11. And even, Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA gets played as just a fun, festive tune.
A real mix, then.
Huh?
Artists strongly associated. You mentioned Springsteen.
Springsteen, definitely. Whitney Houston's version of the national anthem is legendary for many, and John Philip Sousa, the March King, is inseparable from that patriotic band sound.
Okay, fuel time. Food. What are the absolute must-haves for a 4th of July spread?
Oh, it's classic American comfort food, mostly. Hot dogs and hamburgers are king.
Can't argue with that.
BBQ ribs, corn on the cob, watermelon. And for dessert, apple pie is the cliche, but a very popular one.
Sounds about right.
And drinks.
Lemonade, iced tea, especially sweet tea in the South. Beer is pretty common for the adults. Easy summer drinks.
And the desserts often get the color treatment too, right?
Oh, yeah. Red, white, and blueberry trifles, cupcakes with patriotic frosting, Jell-O salads. People get creative with the theme. It's kind of fun, actually.
It is.
Thinking a bit differently. Does nature play any kind of symbolic role? Plants or animals we associate with the day?
Subtly, maybe. The oak tree, often found in parks where people gather, symbolizes strength, endurance. Corn, being such a staple, feels very American summer, especially at cookouts.
And animals. Beyond the obvious eagle.
While the bald eagle is the big one, the national symbol. Hard to beat that. Fireflies on a warm evening definitely add to the summer magic of the 4th.
Right, that nostalgic feel.
Exactly. And, well, dogs are part of many family celebrations, though it's important to remember the fireworks aren't always fun for them.
Good point. Noise sensitivity.
Yeah.
Okay, people and pop culture. Obviously, the Founding Fathers are central. Jefferson, Adams, Franklin.
Can't talk about the 4th without them. Their actions and ideas are the foundation.
Any modern pop culture connections that stick out?
Well, there's the movie Independence Day, the big alien invasion flick from '96. Total fiction, but uses the date.
Memorable, if silly.
Definitely. Then you have, maybe unexpectedly, Joey Chestnut and the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. It's become this weirdly popular July 4th spectacle for some.
It really has. And the big TV specials.
Right. The Macy's 4th of July fireworks in New York, a Capitol 4th from D.C., those are major broadcasts watched by millions, part of the tradition for many families now.
Location matters, too. Some places feel extra significant on the 4th.
Absolutely. Philadelphia is ground zero, historically. Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell. You feel the history there?
The birthplace.
Exactly. Washington, D.C. is the current capital, so the celebrations on the National Mall feel very official, very grand.
Boston has a famous one, too.
The Boston Pops Fireworks Spectacular over the Charles River, huge event. Mount Rushmore, with the presidents carved in stone, is another powerful symbol. And New York City's fireworks display is just massive, one of the biggest anywhere.
Seems like the holiday has its own vocabulary, too.
Yeah.
Mottos, catchphrases.
Oh, for sure. You hear life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness a lot, obviously from the Declaration. Land of the free, home of the brave, from the anthem. One nation, under God, from the pledge.
And just casual greetings.
Happy 4th is standard. Stars and stripes forever, sometimes. Let freedom ring, you hear that too.
Any slang.
People might call a local event a 4th Fest or a party a BBQ bash. You might hear firework frenzy if there's a lot going on nearby. And born on the 4th of July can mean someone literally born then or just very patriotic.
Let's dig a bit deeper now, beyond the celebrations. What are the core civic or philosophical ideas?
Self-governance is probably the biggest. The idea that power comes from the people, not kings or inherited rule, that was huge.
The consent of the governed.
Precisely. And the Declaration itself, while not law like the Constitution, serves as this philosophical benchmark. People constantly refer back to its ideals when discussing rights.
You mentioned rights. But there's a tension there, isn't there? Liberty versus equality?
A major tension, yes. The Declaration proclaimed liberty, but all men didn't initially include everyone, enslaved people, women, indigenous people. So the fight for equality, for that liberty to apply universally, is a huge part of the ongoing American story that the 4th brings into focus.
And the whole idea of a social contract.
Right, Enlightenment thinking. The idea that people agree to be governed in exchange for protection of their rights. Breaking that contract, they argued, justified revolution. It was the intellectual underpinning for independence.
So when we learn about this in school, it's often a simplified version.
Often, yeah. It's presented as this clean, heroic founding myth sometimes. But it's crucial to bring in other perspectives.
Like whose?
Well, the experiences of indigenous peoples whose lands were being encroached upon, the experiences of enslaved African Americans whose bondage starkly contradicted the rhetoric of freedom. Acknowledging these makes for a much fuller, more honest understanding.
So we need to ask harder questions.
I think so. Questions like, whose freedom was actually won in 1776? Which promises of the Declaration are still works in progress? What does patriotism even mean today? Does it allow for criticism?
Important questions. And the impact wasn't just within the U.S., right? It spread.
Oh, definitely. The American Revolution was watched closely around the world. It inspired other independence movements.
Like the French Revolution.
Yes, that's a major example just a few years later. And movements across Latin America in the following decades. The ideas of liberty and popular sovereignty had global resonance, part of that whole transatlantic Enlightenment exchange of ideas.
Now, we can't really have this discussion without touching on the controversies and complexities. What are the main sticking points?
The biggest, most unavoidable one is slavery. The hypocrisy of founders advocating liberty while owning enslaved people is a profound and painful contradiction at the heart of the founding.
Hard to reconcile.
Impossible, really. And then there's the impact on Native Americans. American expansion meant displacement, broken treaties, and violence against indigenous nations. That's intrinsically linked to the nation's growth post-independence.
And even today, there are debates.
For sure. Debates about national identity, what loving your country means. Can you criticize America and still be patriotic? Is dissent patriotic? These are live issues.
It's vital then to hear alternative perspectives on the day itself.
Absolutely critical. Frederick Douglass's 1852 speech, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July," is essential reading, a powerful indictment of that hypocrisy we mentioned.
Still relevant today.
Very much so. And for many Black Americans, Juneteenth, commemorating the end of slavery, feels like a more authentic Independence Day.
A different timeline of freedom.
Exactly. And for many indigenous communities, July 4th isn't a celebration at all. It can be a reminder of colonization and loss. Some observe it as a day of mourning or protest.
So multiple meanings, multiple experiences of the same day. How does the 4th compare to other holidays? Like Memorial Day.
Memorial Day specifically honors military personnel who died in service. The 4th celebrates the nation's founding principles and independence itself, both patriotic but different focus.
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day honors all who served in the military, living and deceased. Again, related themes of service and patriotism, but distinct from the founding focus of July 4th.
And compared to other countries' Independence Days.
Many nations celebrate their Independence Day, marking separation from colonial rule or the establishment of their current form of government. India's on August 15th, Mexico September 16th. France has Bastille Day on July 14th. Each has its own history and traditions, of course.
Let's shift gears slightly. The science behind the sparkle. Fireworks chemistry. How do they get those colors?
It's pretty cool chemistry. Different metal salts produce different colors when burned. Strontium makes red, copper makes blue, barium makes green, sodium makes yellow-orange.
So it's specific elements creating the light.
Exactly. Heated metal atoms release energy as light, and the specific metal determines the wavelength, which we see as color.
But they're not just pretty, they can be dangerous too.
Oh, absolutely. Safety is a huge issue. Thousands of people get injured every year, often quite seriously, from consumer fireworks. Burns, eye injuries, it's a real risk if not handled properly. Professional shows are much safer.
A good reminder. How do we teach kids about the 4th? What are common ways and maybe some better ways?
Schools often do flag drawings, maybe learn the preamble, sometimes write their own little declarations, simple stuff.
Making it relatable.
Trying to, yeah. More engaging ways might involve interactive timelines, looking at primary sources scaled for kids, maybe trivia about symbols like the Liberty Bell, making it more than just rote memorization.
Getting them to think about the meaning.
Ideally, yes, even in age-appropriate ways.
Some words from that era just stick with us. Any key quotes that really capture the spirit or the ideas?
Well, the opening of the Declaration is probably the most famous. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Those words echo constantly.
Foundational.
Truly. Lincoln had powerful words, too, like, those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, connects freedom to responsibility. And Washington's line about liberty being a plant of rapid growth once it takes root captures the dynamism of the idea.
Powerful stuff. Okay, Let's end with some fun facts. Surprise us.
Okay, here's a wild one. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, two key figures, both died on the same day, July 4th, 1826, exactly 50 years after the Declaration.
No way. That's uncanny.
Isn't it? And one president, Calvin Coolidge, was actually born on July 4th, 1872.
Huh. The holiday's birthday boy.
Pretty much. Food fact, Americans eat something like 150 million hot dogs on the 4th.
That is a lot of hot dogs.
It really is. We mentioned the first fireworks in Philly in 1777, and the flag colors have official meanings. Red for hardiness and valor, white for purity and innocence, blue for vigilance, perseverance, and justice.
I didn't know the official meanings. Interesting.
And early celebrations weren't just fireworks. They had 13 gun salutes for the colonies, readings of the Declaration, bonfires, cannon fire, loud and proud from the start.
A real statement.
Definitely.
Wow. So wrapping this all up, it's clear Independence Day isn't just one thing, is it? It's way more complicated and layered than just picnics and parades.
Absolutely. It's about these foundational ideals, yes, but also specific history, evolving traditions, moments of unity, and, as we've discussed, some really significant complexities and different viewpoints.
It holds a lot. The celebration, the critique, side by side sometimes.
Exactly. Which kind of leads us to a final thought for you, listening.
Yeah.
Considering everything we've touched on, the history, the different perspectives, the ideals, and the realities, how does the idea of independence resonate with you today? What part of this deep dive made you the most curious? What might you want to dig into more yourself?
Something to think about long after the fireworks fade. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.